Yalamania is fun. When you have watch parties in arenas around your country for a fourth round match, I'm in.
With free popcorn.
I am here for Yalamania. It's great for tennis. I don't want to hear any of that bullshit like, oh, I don't care. You'd stop talking. No, this is a movement. She is creating a movement of a sect of tennis fandom that largely didn't exist a couple of years ago.
This is a movement. Ealamania is a movement, and I am in. Andy Roddick has spoken about Alex Eala's massive rise on tennis. Andy Roddick declared that the fandom and the excitement around her matches in her home country is the reason for tennis to be famous in a country where before Eala, there was no one to make people interested in tennis. And that has changed demographics, so he is one of the Eala fans. Andy went even further and declared that she made her breakthrough at the Miami Open when she broke through and defeated Iga Swiatek. But as things progressed, the story became real. She is now the highest-ranked Filipino in the history of tennis, a top 30 tennis player, and already beating some of the biggest names in WTA.
We're talking about a country with more than 100 million people. I mean, she took out the defending champion. This isn't just...
Listen, it was a fun story when she broke out at Miami. We wanted more of it. She's top 30, beating players at majors. It went from a fun story to a very real story and a phenomenon, and we should all grab it, embrace it, love it.
He mentioned that doing this from a country with a population of more than 100 million with no tennis interest is insane. And that is great for tennis. And he is not the only one who thinks that way. Novak Djokovic has reportedly praised Eala multiple times, saying that she is one of the rising stars in tennis. Djokovic's comments carry weight because he rarely singles out players outside the very top of the game unless something genuinely catches his attention. According to people close to the tour, Djokovic has pointed to Eala's composure on big points as the trait that separates her from other breakout players. He has apparently compared the energy around her matches to the atmosphere he experienced early in his own career, when a nation with little tennis history suddenly found a player worth rallying behind. That comparison alone tells you how seriously the old guard is taking this rise, because Djokovic does not hand out those comparisons lightly.
I saw the other day with Alex Eala, that's been a talk, and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. She's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country, which is a big country, and there's a big interest.
He is not alone in noticing the shift. Reports out of the WTA press circuit suggest that Coco Gauff has spoken warmly about Eala as well, describing her as one of the players she enjoys watching most on tour right now. Gauff, who understands better than most what it means to carry the hopes of a young fan base onto the court, has reportedly said that Eala's rise reminds her of her own early years, when every match felt like it mattered to people who had never cared about tennis before. That kind of comparison matters because Gauff knows exactly what that pressure looks like from the inside. And if she sees it in Eala, that is not a small thing. Even further back in the sport's history, voices from an earlier generation have chimed in. Chris Evert, who has covered the tour for years now with an analyst's eye, has apparently described Eala's game as a blend of discipline and flair that reminds her of players who came before the modern power era. Evert has been known to praise footwork and shot selection over raw power, and sources following her commentary say she has repeatedly pointed to Eala's ability to construct points as a sign that her game will age well, not just perform well in one hot stretch. That is high praise from someone who has seen decades of players come and go, many of whom flashed early and faded fast.
They followed her all around the globe, obviously not to this extent. And I think the ceiling that Alex Eala has is obviously that much higher. And I'm going to bring in a little boxing here because my dad wanted me to be a boxer, but I chose tennis. But Manny Pacquiao.
Good call.
Manny Pacquiao. We saw him when he, was at the top of his game.
Billie Jean King, always attentive to what a player means beyond the scoreline, has also weighed in through various tennis outlets, reportedly framing Eala's rise as bigger than tennis itself. King has spent her career arguing that the sport grows fastest when it finds new audiences in places that never had a reason to care before. And by that measure, what is happening in the Philippines right now fits exactly the story she has been telling for 50 years. If a nation of over 100 million people is tuning into tennis for the first time because of one player, that is the kind of growth moment King has always said the sport needs more of.
At Wimbledon, center court, which is
just iconic place to play. And she's a great kid, and I just hope that things will go well for her. She's got to get calmed down. They had over 400 calls for sponsorships for her.
Back to Roddick, because his comments were really the spark for all of this. He did not just praise her game, he praised what her game is doing to an entire country's relationship with the sport. He pointed out that tennis has always struggled to break into markets outside the traditional strongholds of Europe, the Americas, and pockets of Asia like Japan and China. The Philippines, despite its size and its passion for sports in general, had never produced a player capable of pulling casual fans into tennis specifically. Roddick's argument is that Eala has done in a few years what marketing campaigns and grassroots programs failed to do in decades, simply by winning matches that mattered on the biggest stages. And the numbers back up the excitement. Her win over Iga Swiatek at the Miami Open was the moment casual fans in the Philippines started paying attention. But it was the sustained run afterward that turned attention into obsession. Climbing into the top 30 is not a fluke result. It is the product of consistency across a full season. And that consistency is exactly what turns a viral moment into a legitimate career. Roddick's point is that plenty of players get one signature win and fade back into the pack. That is the part Roddick seemed most fascinated by. He noted that fans back home were reportedly organizing watch parties for matches that started in the middle of the night local time, treating group stage wins the way other countries treat World Cup matches. For a sport that often struggles to fill out stadium sections outside the top handful of superstar names, that kind of grassroots, middle-of-the-night devotion is not something you can manufacture. It has to come from somewhere real, and Roddick's read is that it is coming from a country finally seeing itself represented at the top of a global sport for the first time. Even Iga Swiatek, the player whose loss to Eala in Miami kicked off this entire wave, has reportedly spoken respectfully about the rivalry since then. Rather than treating the result as a fluke, Swiatek has apparently acknowledged in press conferences that Eala's game gave her problems, specifically because of the variety, the willingness to change pace and bring her forward. Tactics that not many players on tour are confident enough to try against a former world number one.
Yalamania is fun. When you have watch parties in arenas around your country for a fourth round match, I'm in.
With free popcorn.
I am here for Yalamania. It's great for tennis. I don't want to hear any of that bullshit like, oh, I don't care. Stop talking. No, this is a movement. She is creating a movement of a sect of tennis fandom that largely didn't exist a couple of years ago.
Having the player on the losing end of the breakthrough wins speak that openly about the quality behind it only adds more weight to the argument that this was never about one lucky day. There is also a broader financial and commercial angle that people around the sport have started to notice. Sponsors who previously had little interest in the Southeast Asian market are reportedly re-evaluating their regional strategies now that tennis has a genuine draw in a country of that size. Tournament organizers in Asia have apparently taken note as well, with speculation building around whether exhibition events or expanded qualifying spots could eventually make their way to the region, specifically to capitalize on the audience Eala has built. None of that happens without the results on court holding up. But if the current trajectory continues, the business side of tennis may end up following wherever this story goes next. Before we get further into what this all means, if you are enjoying breakdowns like this one, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next update. Because this Eala story is moving fast, and there is going to be a lot more to cover before the season is done. Now here is what I want to know from you watching this. Do you think Alex Eala can keep climbing the rankings and turn this from a breakout season into a sustained run near the very top of the sport, the way Roddick and Djokovic seem to believe she can? Or do you think the pressure of an entire country watching every match is eventually going to catch up with her? Drop your prediction in the comments because this debate is only going to get louder as the season goes on. And I want to see where this community actually stands before the next big result changes the conversation all over again.